Well, welcome back to Nightly Nonsense. We have been missing for a while. Not because there hasn't been some nonsense to go through, mostly because it has been my nonsense to go through. Listen, our world is topsy-turvy. There are a lot of things that we can talk about on Nightly Nonsense. We're trying to do some of that, not trying to compete with other people, not trying to put my 2 cents in on things, usually trying to talk about things according to me, right? What has happened with me. I think what happened to me this summer, and I want to talk about it over the next few nights. What happened to me this summer is a good example of what has happened to us as a country, what has happened to us as people, what happens. Frequently, we get consumed by something. I am a hobby farmer, not necessarily a good hobby farmer, but I have cows and horses and chickens and rabbits, and we have some property that we take care of. And every summer, I gear up to do haying. Right, to provide food for my animals for the winter. I live in Western New York. We need about 200 days worth of hay. Can't usually right about now having to think about feeding them hay, and usually we feed all the way to the middle of May. Hay, and so we only have a very short season: June, July, August, September, half of May, half of October. That our animals are actually fed by grass, by the field. The rest of it is hay, and I supplement very little. So a haying season is always very stressful for me. It's stressful because I don't have the newest equipment, and I don't have a lot of equipment. I have one tractor, and then I have all the pieces that I need to do the hay that I need to do. But you also are dependent upon weather. You need about, where I live, 3 days of very good drying weather, preferably about 80 and preferably with a breeze, right? So that warmth gets all the way through the hay that you have just cut down. And then I can bale it up. But we need 3 days of consecutive good weather for good hay. So all summer is this whole process of hoping for those days and then hoping that your equipment works. Now, where I live, we had a very rotten May, June, very, very, very wet. By the end of June, I still had water sitting all over my property, which is very, very unusual for that time of the year. So we weren't able to even do hay until about July. And then as I started to do hay, my tractor broke. The one piece of equipment that I really cannot do without. It runs all the other pieces of equipment. So my tractor broke. I knew right away that it was probably pretty serious in nature, right? And then starts this extreme battle within my head, right? Because when things can be fixed and they can be fixed quickly, well, then you're okay. And there's a sense of urgency, like I just said, for haying season. So when I checked in and found out that for the place that I needed to send my tractor to, the dealer I needed to send my tractor to, it was going to be about a month or so before they could even look at it. And then I knew that this probably would be a pretty lengthy fix. It was going to be a costly fix, right? So it was going to probably be mid-August before I could get my tractor back and get things working. And it's funny because before I found out that piece of information, I had hoped that it could be fixed. It could be fixed pretty easily, maybe. Like this was just a minor thing. My tractor still ran. It just sounded poor. All of these things. But that seed that was planted was a seed of panic, right? A seed of, this isn't going to work out the way you want it to. This is going to be stressful in your life. So I want to stop right there tonight, and I want to ask you the question: have there been seeds that have been planted in your life? Right? Seeds that have been planted that until you found out something, everything was going pretty well. You were going along life, and all of a sudden you found out you needed to have surgery right away. You were going along with life, and all of a sudden you went to the doctor and found out that you had some kind of cancer, some kind of disease. You were going to work, and everything was great, and you got in, and your boss said, "Hey, we have to let you go." Right? You were going to church, and everything was good, and then you found out the pastor was leaving, right? Or your program was ending. You were dependent upon the government because you're down on your luck for some help financial, then you find out the government is shut down. There's all kinds of moments that we're going along, and then all of a sudden something happens, and it really stops our world. The problem is it doesn't stop the rest of the world around us. There's no pause button, cosmic pause button that just stops the whole world until we get back on track, and then we restart it up. Can you imagine if we all had that pause button, 8 billion people? Right? We would never be going anywhere ever, because everybody is in need of a pause button. But the problem with this whole pause button hit thing and our need for it, again, is that while it stops our world, it doesn't necessarily stop all the other things that are going on. When that happens, how do we feel? How do we handle things? What do we do? I want to keep talking about this, but I want you to think about that tonight as maybe making some sense out of the nonsense that you're in, is just being able to decide, hey, wait a second, yeah, this is what happened. What happened was my life was good until this moment, and then all of a sudden my world got blown up, my world stopped, and everybody else's was going along. We'll see you next time, right here, Nightly Nonsense.